Today's episode is brought to you by Forvis Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. There are a whole lot of reasons why a consumer buys from you, and it's not always about the product or service. A core marketing resource is your own personal brand. Personal brand consultant Emma Duzhnikova says if you as a business leader look and sound likeable, trustworthy, authoritative and authentic, it can only help win more business. However, Chris Ashmore wants to know, shouldn't a business owner focus more so on the company's brand rather than their own brand?
Well, definitely don't ignore the company brand. That is there for a reason. And we definitely need to continue building on the company brand. But a personal brand and owning your personal brand is an excellent way to shine a spotlight on your company. It's attraction marketing at its finest. So it really increases inbound opportunities, which then drive business to your company brand. And it's a really great way to make your prospects aware of who you are. But not only that, if you're consistent and you're relevant with your personal brand, you'll not only make your prospects aware of who you are, but they will then prefer to work with you to your competitors. And they might even begin insisting on working with you over your competitors. So moving from awareness to preference to insistence. In many cases, people buy into a person way before they buy into a brand. And people find other people a whole lot more interesting than an entity. If you think about Richard Branson and Virgin, Virgin has 244,000 followers, whereas Richard Branson has 4.8 million. Gary Vaynerchuk, 10.2 million. And VaynerMedia, his company, is 254,000.
This is the American entrepreneur.
Yes, Gary V.
Yeah. Okay, let's say you've convinced me that personal brand is important. How then do you suggest business owners enhance their personal brand?
I think understanding who your audience is absolutely key. We hear that over and over, but it is so important so that you make sure that you are relevant. We also need to resonate with that audience. So making sure that our values that we're putting out there are aligned with their values and that we're actually giving them something that they want. This way you're marrying their needs to your values and it results in warmer online relationships, which often then lead to real life relationships. And relationships really are the lifeblood of personal branding.
So once somebody understands what their personal brand is, how do they convey that to the rest of the world in terms of what social media, when they go networking? Is there a way to show that?
Being really active on social media is a big part of it. Obviously not being online just for the sake of being online, having a strategy. And Google came up with a 7-11-4 principle. And this principle stipulates that in order to get people to reach into their pockets and part with their hard-earned cash to buy your product or service, they need to spend 7 hours with you across 11 touch points in 4 different places. And they've based this off the teachings of a man named Professor Dunbar, an anthropologist from Oxford University, and reams of data about people's online shopping habits. So basically the 7 hours are any 7 hours where people are clocking up time with you. It could be on a podcast like this. It could be through a YouTube video or in a networking event in real life. The 11 touch points could be your website, again, social media, all the different interactions on social media, business cards, billboards, and showing up in 4 different places. So it's shown that if people see you on 4 different platforms, on social media, for example, they'll form a stronger bond with you.
So you just got to get yourself out there, get yourself heard and seen as much as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
Well, one thing we haven't talked about yet is the way we look and the way we sound. Should we be thinking about the clothes we wear, the colour of our glasses, the way we style our hair, those kinds of things?
It is all those things. And when it comes to clothing, it definitely does play an important role. And we can often see how someone feels based off the clothing that they're wearing. So often people that are not feeling confident might have very loose, baggy clothing. It's also to do with your posture, the way you carry yourself. Women in leadership who need to command power tend to wear more structured clothing, sharper tailoring, maybe sharper shoulders. And color also plays a really big part. Color has a really big impact on how we perceive people. And it's very obvious, or an example of this is when we look at traditional roles of power or people that are in traditional roles of power, like judges and policemen. Don't think anyone's going to take a judge or a policeman that seriously if they wear lavender, but they wear black and dark blue because it's authoritative, commanding, and it's a color that commands respect rather than soft pastel tones, which are a lot more approachable.
Do you have an example of a business owner with an effective personal brand?
Absolutely, I do. I've got a few, and I think Janine Ellis is an excellent example, the founder of Boost Juice. Janine is not only a massively successful businesswoman, but she is also a champion of entrepreneurs, and she's really positioned herself as a voice of leadership and a thought leader in the entrepreneurship circles. And she does this by showing up consistently with valuable advice across many platforms through webinars, keynote speeches, and
TV shows.
And TV shows, yes.
Any other examples?
I'd say on a broader international scale, Mr. Beast is a great example. So Mr. Beast is the highest paid YouTuber that exists in the world today. He is a self-made, very ordinary individual, but he put out really great content. He was consistent about it. And his brand has become so successful that anything he puts his name on flies off shelves, whether it's chocolate, burgers, merchandise, you name it. And remarkably, Mr. Beast declined a $1 billion deal to buy his media company because he said it was undervalued. So the power of personal branding exists.
Well, in that sense, he doesn't need a business. His business is him.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Mm-hmm. Now, for anyone wanting to begin building their personal brand, where do they start?
Firstly, you need to understand what you do, or why you do what you do beyond money, beyond making a profit. And you also have to have a very strong belief in what you are offering, understanding that you are offering something that people really, really need. Next, you need to find out what these people do need from you, whether they need you to entertain them. Maybe they need some humor. Maybe they're looking for some sort of structure. Maybe they are looking for advice or someone who goes against the grain and disrupts the status quo. And you need to consistently deliver on that message. It's also really helpful to have part of your product or service as a gift. And what I mean by that is podcasts and giving free information to people, or maybe you have an ebook that you are sending to prospects, or even a physical book that you send in the mail, and making sure that you're providing this value to them consistently and sharing what you know and establishing yourself as an authority and a thought leader in the space that you want to occupy. Also, making sure that you are discoverable. So whether you are one of one that does what you do or one of 20,000, no one is going to want to work with you or even be able to find you if you are not discoverable. So putting yourself out there and making sure that people can actually find you, because somewhere, someone out there needs to know about what you offer.
That was personal brand consultant Emma Duzhnikova. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Forvis Mazars. To find out more, visit forvismazars.com/au. That's FORVISMAZARS.com/au.